With the purchasing power of the Russian ruble hitting the lowest point since March 2022, the economic toll of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine becomes glaring. Russia's expanding expenditures on the war has fueled enormous inflation, prompting Russia's central bank to hike its interest rate to the highest level since the early 2000s to 21%, to rein in consumer prices, of course. Inflations remain high regardless of the rate hike, speeding up to over 1% in the first 3 weeks of November and pushing the year-to-year numbers to over 8%. In the wake of the economic challenges the country led by delusional terrorists has faced over the past year, the United States government's decision to impose new sanctions on dozens of Russian banks has by now proven hard for the country's economy to swallow. Russia is currently facing an impossible economic conundrum because of the rapid increase in military expenditures and the Western sanctions. Anders Aslund, a Swedish economist specializing in post-Soviet countries, told the Kiev Independent. However, economists and analysts are divided on how much of an impact Russia's economic problems will have on its war effort. Some argue that it is becoming increasingly difficult for Russia to finance its war. Undaunted by economic reality, Russian dictator Putin is raising defense and security costs to officially $176 billion in 2025, and that is staggering 41% of the federal budget expenditures, Aslan said. Yet Russia can only finance 2% of GDP in budget deficit a year, $40 billion, because its only reserve is National Wealth Fund. At the end of March 2024, its liquid resources amounted to mere $55 billion, and nobody lends more money to Russia. But others say that despite all the economic difficulties, the Kremlin will have enough resources to finance the war for a long time at the expense of cutting spending on this country's civilian sector. Sergei Lukashenko, a Russian-born economist based in the United States, said that the Putin's economic problems shouldn't be overestimated. He will spend as much money on the war as necessary, the expert says. Well, I agree. Russian dictator Putin and Russian economy do not go along, even somewhat well. And the results will be devastating for Russian people. No doubt about that. The question is only when. Worth noting that United States President-elect Donald Trump's team has shown openness to a potential plan to dramatically increase oil output and drive down oil prices on which Russia's economy is heavily dependent. As a result, the Kremlin may be in for a bumpy ride. And with Saudi Arabia joining the deal, it can bring the price down to as low as $15 per barrel, which could be low enough to end Putin's oil reign. Well, what can I say? Amen to that.